Hey everyone, Molgo here with a sensory clouding guide. In this one, Yama will always chase you even in P3. I know people have been struggling a lot with this one. After some major cooking, I finally got a method down that simplifies the enrage phase for this fight, similar to what my Blight Blows guide did. I'd say Cloud Sensory is still the toughest rating contract though. Let's start with the gear loadout and requirements for this method. This method requires Scorching Bow. It also soft requires Purging Staff to kill the flares faster, but is still technically possible without it, but would be rough. Any melee weapon for Judge is fine. Can replace Heart of Forgotten Brew. A Curse Scepter optional but nice. Circle works too, but not as good. Surge Pot is very important. Also, Double Depth Charge unlocked makes the method more consistent. A long P3 could get into trouble if you have not unlocked Double Depth Charge. You must have arrows and a light bearer for the Scorching Bow to work. However, I believe this method is still viable without the Double Depth Charge, just a bit less consistent. Let's start with some quick tips for P1 and P2 before we get into P3. Start by casting your Thralls, your Depth Charge, your Ward over Chaos. Try to keep these up at all times in the fight. Also, equip your Purging Staff and cast Mark of Darkness so that it lasts for the next 5 minutes, so that you can be ready to kill the Void Flares to spawn in P1 and P2. Throughout P1 and P2, I do try my best to get distance from Yama while picking up the Glyphs so that you take less damage. But during P2 it can get a little sketchy with a Meatball Skip, so if it's an awkward situation, just prioritize getting the Glyph and just tank the damage if a Glyph does. I recommend you take P1 and P2 to practice stepping back from a boss. While you can tank the damage and pray melee, it will do a lot of damage through prayer over time and really reduce your HP and supplies for P3. Also, being comfortable with the step back timings is really big for the P3 method, as there will be just a few hits in each cycle where we'll tank the boss for a little bit while stepping back. There's a few cues I use to tell me when to step back, which makes it a lot easier to never mess up essentially. The main one I use is when the boss hits me with a Mage or range auto, I will wait out 2 ticks before stepping back. Or if I'm doing other stuff like running around and killing Void Flares, you know, in my head I count out those 2 ticks after the auto hits me before I'm like, okay, now I make sure I'm away by stepping back. You can also go off of a hit spot disappearing. The hit spot disappears maybe like a half a tick or a fraction of a tick before you need to step back. So when the hit spot disappears, it's like wait just a tiny little bit and then it's safe to click to move. So that's another cue you can use. Just be careful not to click too early. Yeah. But yeah, just get very comfortable with the step back during P1 and P2 so that you can do it without thinking during P3, just for consistency. The other cue I use is during the Fireball special actually, which only happens in P3, so I will cover that when we get to P3. Now for the Judge of Yama, just be careful not to take unnecessary damage here. You can SGS spec all you want on the first Judge, as you will get all your spec back in time with a Depth Charge and a Light Bearer. But when you get to the second Judge, you do not want to do any SGS specs, as you need to start P3 on 100% special attack. Another tip to reduce your damage you take a little bit, you can click to step away as soon as you get hit by the specials to avoid getting meleeed right after. Except for the Meatball special, because that one's a bit slow. For that one you actually need to step away the same tick you get hit, so you have to actually click before it hits you. And that way you just can always step back and avoid additional melees during P1, P2 to save some supplies. Make sure you're always thinking about where to go next. A very common mistake, especially after dealing with Void Flares, is forgetting to go to the next Glyph, which can result in dying from taking a big special, so just be careful. Also, pro tip for crawling fires, if you're constantly moving, they cannot hit you. So if you ever have crawling fires while you don't have any fire glyphs protecting you, that's an easy way to avoid them. When you're in like a tight spot. When the boss spawns with flares during P1 or P2, you only need to kill the fire flare, the red one, because you'll be picking up a blue glyph anyways, and that will automatically protect you from the blue flare. Be proactive about getting these flares, because sometimes the fire flare can spawn very far away, and if you are taking your time too much to get to it, you can be too slow sometimes, especially with that only 5 tile distance attack range. And once again, make sure to remember right after the flare skip to always go towards the fire glyph, because sometimes it's very far away. Note that if you're wondering what those red corner Tetris piece tile markers are, those are for when I get the Meteor in P2 and I can only walk, but I have a wave coming but I need to skip. It just allows me to time it much more easier. You'll see when the wave crosses over the red tiles, I can click to move, and it makes the walk skip very easy. Note that the Sovereign Glyph can give you some awkward waves sometimes, so I would avoid it when possible, if it is a fire glyph. Do your best on the second judge to get to full HP right before you kill it. And very important, try to recast Mark of Darkness when you get a chance while you have the Purging Staff equipped. So that's going to last for the next 5 minutes, which should cover all of the Enrage fight. And make sure you get the Scorching Cycle equipped before it dies, very important. It's not the end of the world if you don't, you can still make it work, but it makes it a little bit easier if you get it off. And now for a fun part, P3. So you want a Scorching Bow right away at the start here. And then basically, if you do 3 Purging Staff hits in between Scorching Bows, Yama will not move at all. If you do 4 Purging Staffs, Yama will move like 1 or 2 tiles. So you can actually get away with doing 4 Purging Staff hits here if you want, but I would only do it for 1 of them, as you don't want to getting too close. But if you want to play it safe, just always do 3 Purging Staff hits in between hits. And after you dodge, if you use 2 double waves, the boss will do another fireball set, which will then spawn the void flares. You want to take this time to make your way around the boss counterclockwise and kill the void flares on the way while avoiding melees. We will go into detail later on how to do this. I'm just kind of giving a rundown of the method right now. Here you want to get back into control during these fireballs, so you can do control dodging. And then you want to lure Yama to here, do the Scorching Bow special, and now it just loops. And now you can just do 2 Scorching Bow specials while doing 3 Surging Staffs in between, and the rest of it is just the same as the intro, aside from the fact that now we only need to do 2 Scorching Bow specials. And yeah, now just the method just loops. Just do this little loop over and over again. Make sure you keep your depth charge up to keep your special attack up. You know, make sure to drink your Surging Pot when you get low. And that's pretty much it. I will go into detail on, like, you know, the little details of like all the things I'm doing here now, but this is just I'll give a big rundown so you can see like this is the flow of a method. It's pretty straightforward. It's just the little details now we gotta get into. But yeah, once you get this pattern down, you are just pretty much chilling in this fight. So you basically are just in control, and Yama can't do anything to you. It's very nice. I will include a VOD that'll be unlisted that will just show some like unedited runs of P3 showing the full fight, so you can just watch uninterrupted the whole cycle if it helps as well. But yeah, let's rewind things back a bit here. So during this little intro where I do the 3 Scorching Bows, I do a little bit of a movement here to make dealing with the first wave a bit easier, because especially in case Yama might be very close to you, I do what I call the little skip, or the Smol Skip, instead of the big skip that we had for the Bloody Blows. For this one, I start on this tile labeled 1, which is at the very end of a green tile. And when the center of the waves reaches the green tiles in front of me, I then walk 1 tile forward to tile number 2. If the first fireballs were horizontal, I can stay where I am until it's time to dodge the diagonals. But if the first one was vertical, then I will move to the 3 tile right away. The nice thing with a Smol Skip is that it allows us to dodge with just a single walk movement. So in case Yama is very close to us, it's a bit more compact. And also with a placement we do with a fire, relative to the waves, we can basically move to the 3 tile right away if we ever get a vertical skip or a vertical set of fireballs, as was the first one. Whereas like if we start on the more back green tile and do a run movement, then it would be awkward, because then we'd have to wait an extra tick, otherwise we'd run into the waves because of how far back it is. You only really need to do a Smol Skip at the start of a fight, but I just kind of like to use it for the whole thing because it's kind of nice. Or if you end up freezing Yama kind of too close to you, you might need to use the Smol Skip later on as well. If you mess up a Smol Skip, then you can either just run through the waves like normal when you see the waves hit the red tiles, or when the waves hit the red tiles, you can do a side dodge into a vertical dodge, which depending where you spawn the fireballs, one of these will do a better job of avoiding damage. Now that I've explained the Smol Skip, I will explain how my tile markers work for dodging the double waves that come afterwards. If you've seen some of my other guides, like my Bloody Blows guide, you will already know how this works, but I will explain it here again. basically, if I get just regular waves in the center, then I just use the color method of like if I'm on green, then when the wave gets to green, I can click to run. You know, if I'm on red, when the wave reaches red, I can click to run. Simple as that. But if I get the scuffed waves where we spawn one to the left or one to the right, I stand at the very back of the room, and when the waves reach the red tile or the tile before the red tile, I can click to do an L to get to a spot. This is nice because you don't need to pre-move to be on the same column. You just always go to the back middle and just wait for the middle of the waves to hit the red tile or the tile before it, and then you can click to do your L. You can do the strat as long as you stand on any of the rows I have marked with these tile markers. The L movement will not work if you stand in between the rows, as then you will get hit by the waves because of the positioning not lining up with the waves right. Just make sure you line up green with green, red with red when doing it. But with this method, you should never need to do double wave skips from anywhere but here. But yeah, once you get past the waves, Yama's going to spawn some fireballs here, and during those you'll spawn the void flares. You want to make your way as soon as you can to start killing them. It's very important that you run counterclockwise around Yama like this, as it makes it easier to lure him to the correct spot. And the big thing here, well, using the Purging Staff special to attack faster is nice, but the big thing is not to take any melees. So I explained this earlier in the P1, P2, but you want to be very confident on the timing to step back to not get meleeed. And the timing I explained earlier, which will be most relevant here, is basically when Yama's auto attack hits you, you want to basically 2 ticks later do a step back. So it's like, well, auto attack hits you, hits by piercing your character, wait 2 ticks, step back. Though instead of waiting 2 ticks, you're using those 2 ticks moving around Yama. But yeah, so practice doing that a lot during P1 and P2, so that when you get to P3, it won't be new to you how to like move around and time the step back perfectly. You can also just use visual metronome, set to 7, as you can see here. I have it there just to show it for the guide, but I didn't really use it myself for this. Now, there's also the timing of dodging the melees after his fireballs, because he's not always doing an auto attack after a fireball, right? So basically, when Yama spawns the second set of fireballs, the diagonal one, you want to immediately click to step back. And when Yama spawns the third set of fireballs and they explode, after they explode, you want to wait 1 tick and then step back, or use that 1 tick of waiting to do other actions. You can consider doing a melee kill of regular Yama to get practice with the melee timing of avoiding melees while dodging the fireballs during P3. Note that sometimes you may be put in an awkward position to deal with void flares, so if you're too far to the right, you can just kind of like run past the first set of fireballs instead of dodging them correctly, and then right as the second set of fireballs is about to spawn, you can stop moving and then do your 1 tile step back to avoid the melee. It's important to get back in control right away so you can start DPSing the boss and be in control of positioning the boss for the next part. But yeah, after you're done dealing with those fireballs and you do a step back, you want to basically path behind this little pink tile. The point of a pink tile is that as long as Yama has stepped over the pink tile, you can always reach him while you're doing your dodging over here. Even if you end up dodging like to the right to dodge a scuffed wave, you'll still be able to reach it, or if you attack from the very back. So that is why it's nice to lure him by going behind that pink tile to make sure that he's overlapping the pink tile. Because yeah, you can get really messed up if you think you can reach, but you get dragged. And then like you get hit by the fireballs you thought you dodged after getting dragged, which is super annoying. So just putting him in a good position there is very nice. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to this. You know, if you make a mistake, just do your best to sort of recover and get back to safety. If it gets really messed up, you know, don't be afraid to use diagonal dodges to your advantage, because diagonal dodges are pretty powerful when you're not in a safe setup like this for recovering. But yeah, this is the guide. I basically got many KC in a row successfully with this method once I had developed. It's still not the easiest thing to do in the world, you know. It's but compared to the people I see brick walling with this boss for so many hours, I think this is an approachable method to learn to get the boss in a reasonable amount of time. But yeah, and just, you know, practice whatever you can in less high stakes situations so that when you get to P3, you know what you need to do, especially the step back timing. That's the main thing. But yeah, I'll link a a few runs in like a YouTube unlisted video, so you can just see some example runs, you know, see what I do for the different sort of spawns I get. But yeah, good luck on Sensory Clouding. You got this, and good luck on Radiant Oathplate. See you next time, everyone. Peace.